Welcome to Recipe to Success, the show where we sit down with entrepreneurs from all different backgrounds to learn more about their journey to success. My name is Humza Zahoor, CEO and founder of Social Awaken. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of Recipe to Success. Today I'm a little bit tired, driven a long way for this one, but definitely going to be worth it. We're with the owner of a huge company based in Manchester called Missy Empire, and this is one of the co-founders and directors. Ash, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you, Humza?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on, even though I drove here.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, but it's an honor to obviously not only be here, but to obviously pick your brain, learn from you, and to see how everything started. I think the audience will really, really appreciate this one. So, first off, how have you been during the pandemic? How's everything been, business-wise, personally?
Personally, been okay. It was mostly the gym that affected me the most, because you know, when you're running a business that's 24/7, you need something to like just de-stress. So my escapism was like, just training, or just, you know, getting your adrenaline high enough to then just have a good night's sleep. So the gym closure was probably the one that hit me hard than anything else. So luckily, alhamdulillah, we managed to build a Missy gym here. So that got me back going again. But apart from that, the business has been okay, with people having more expendable income and not enough means to shop around because everything was closed. So they all went online. So online has been okay, but it came with a few of its struggles, mostly from transportation, freight charges, you know, importing and exporting of the goods, sending customer orders, because a lot of the countries started closing their borders down. It made getting the last mile a lot harder. So just overcoming a lot of the increased spend in freights and courier charges that we had to just absorb in the meantime. But then also it slowed things down on replenishment of the stock, because it mostly comes from abroad, with not enough planes flying around. PPE started getting first priority, which is obvious. Then any space that's left over, every business is just bidding for the space. So it went up to about 700% increase. And it was a massive increase actually. So that hit margins quite hard. But apart from that, it's been a good few months.
What about personally? Like, obviously, I know you mentioned the gym, but you know, did you have any time to reflect and just kind of see what you want to do in terms of the growth of the business and the vision?
So it gave us a lot more clarity on what the brand, or why the girls come to Missy Empire. We're known heavily as a more of a casual brand. So, you know, when people went more towards casual wear, we were like one of the main names that were being recognized amongst the girls. So it gave us a lot more clarity on, like, you know, what type of brand we are and what offerings we offer to the customer. So from there we started, like, you know, just developing further styles and designs that suit the customer's need, that are the Missy girl.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if any of you listening, maybe some of the guys who haven't heard of Missy Empire, even if you are a guy and you haven't heard about it, I don't know what you're doing.
If they had, I'd be worried what my marketing department's doing.
But still, it's quite a big company that I'm sure they should know it from their sisters, girlfriends, wives, whatever it is. But if you haven't, definitely go look into it. It's an up and coming brand, but still they've kind of grown massively over the past 12 to 18 months. So let's go into the backstory. How did Missy Empire start? How did the empire get built? No pun intended.
So Missy Empire, it started off from our manufacturing days, where we were clothing manufacturers. So we used to make majority of our stock for either wholesale, cash and carries, or high streets. And had a cancellation on one order, which was like a trend that started, which was a knitted legging. So one of the stores were probably having a down quarter where they just cancelled the order midway through. And so we ended up with like 5,000 units of leggings just sitting on our floor. So it was just, me and Ish were just thinking like, what we're going to do with them. So we thought, alright, you know what, let's just take a picture. So it's a simple picture of your mobile phone and just put it on eBay. So we normally were selling that to the stores for about $350 a legging.
What year was this?
This was in 11, I think. 11 or 12, yeah.
Okay.
It was quite early on. And we put it on for £5. You know what, just like put it on for a £5, see if it goes. And luckily, yeah, I mean the whole 5,000 units went in about less than a week. Yeah, so that's why it like really gave us an eye opener. Right, this is awesome. What else have we got on our floor? So we started seeing what other like overstock or like, you know, leftover garments we have that we can start listing them from there. We started then buying stock from other wholesalers that we used to supply, so like more seasonal related, because ours was mostly knitwear, which is like an autumn winter thing. So we started looking for summer stock. But then as we started growing the eBay side of the business, what we noticed was that customers weren't remembering who they're buying off. They just remember that they bought off eBay. So you weren't really getting a recognition. Being a manufacturer, you'd never been recognized for your work. You're always doing the hard work, but then it's the brand that gets recognized for the awesome style or the awesome color that comes out, you know, the customer that ends up with. So even with eBay, we thought, you know what, although we've become a retailer, we're still not being recognized. It's still eBay, the platform, that's being recognized. So how do we shift that? So it's when we introduced Christmas jumpers, the craze of Christmas jumpers. So we sort of sell it on America, selling them for $50, and we went, wow, this is quite cool. $50, great margins. Because remember, like, we only get like £4 or £5 a jumper when you manufacture. So your manufacturing cost, your sell price from
it's
manufacturing.
It's a volume business.
Yeah, it's a volume business. So like to see that you can get, you know, 40 odd quid for a jumper, like, we went, you know, let's just try some. But the styles that we saw on the American eBay seller, they were quite for the old, very conservative sort of styles. So, you know, how can we make them for the young? So, like, you know, some like jumpers that the lads can wear. And that's when we looked at, like, you know, just like Christmas cards and cartoon characters. So we came up with this famous penguin that is just arms open, and we just put a red hat on it. So a fat penguin with their arms open, just put a red Christmas hat on it, and that was one of our best sellers, like, for all times. Then we did the same thing with the reindeer face, put a hat on it, snowman, like everything. First year, yeah, we listed them, put them on for about £35, excluding postage. Sold about 70,000 units.
Wow.
Yeah, really massive volume for the retail, and in a few styles it's actually quite good. But our downfall, or not downfall, like what reduced the longevity in that was that because we were selling so much, we had to get a few more manufacturers making for us, so our own factory couldn't keep up with the demand. So that's when word got out, like, yo, where are they selling these? Like, who the hell is buying it? Like, you know, because they were just funny, weird little characters. Like, even when I showed it to my regular customers in wholesale, cash and carry, they both laughed, saying, oh, this ain't gonna kick off. Who's gonna wear this, man? Just stick to what you know. So, no, like, you know what? I'm only gonna make a couple hundred piece. Like, you know, let me just try it. Like, you know, if it sells, like, the margins are great where you can't, like, take the risk. So it worked, it paid off, but then, like, obviously everyone found out that, yeah, these guys selling. And the sad thing about eBay, even to now, is it tells you there's a sold tab. So when you click on it, it actually tells you what time and what, you know, each sale is stamped at the time point. So a few of my cash and carry wholesalers and, like, you know, even the high street buyers went onto that tab, and they're like, right, this is selling every single minute. This is crazy, yo, what the hell? So the buyers wanted to jump on it. So obviously this was towards, like, Christmas, so they buy high street buy 6 months to 3 months in advance. Their buying calendars completely different. So they went, next year we want a slice of this. That's when it became a commercial thing. We went, all right, yes, fine, you can do. So not only did they want it stocked, they had people from all the cash and carries, but also, like, future eBayers you had future eBayers just stocking it as well. Like,
by the way, guys, we're in the head office, so just ignore the noise. The business is ticking, so we're gonna have to let it run. But okay, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so the future new eBayers came up, who also started getting from other factories, started selling them. But, like, you know, where we had the price at £35, so year 2 the price went down to 20, year 3 went down to 15, then to 10. Like, that's how low it went. Like, people, honestly, man, think profit and margins, they don't really get properly, like, how important it is to maintain them. So that's when we decided that, you know what, like, as great as eBay is, because it takes care of about 80% of your headache, like your server costs, your development costs and everything like that. Like, you know,
Platform,
everything to do with the back end, like, it's taken care of. So, but like this, we're never going to get brand recognition. So that's when we thought, you know, it's our time to detach away from eBay and set up our own brand store and like our own identity. And that's when Missy Empire got formed.
Was that in 2018?
No, that was in 2014. We did a soft launch.
Okay.
And 2015 was the proper launch of Missy Empire.
Okay. So before, you know, we go more into about Missy Empire, obviously you mentioned you were in the manufacturing business. Was that something that you was always in from a young age? Or?
No, so that was Dad's business that me and Ish just went into, because I'm a firm believer of education. Like, I think education is great, but being in charge of your own income, or like, you know, if you are going to work for someone, like, and you've got the opportunity to work for yourself, which we did have, it just made common sense. Like, you know, like, I'm going to study and educate and then be an employee anyway. Why not just be an employee for my dad? So it worked well. He started seeing started seeing credibility and confidence in us to start, you know, giving us more rein into the business. And then eventually in 2001, when I was 21, he handed the keys and he said, look, I've done what I needed to do, because the business was going since 92. So he goes, I've done what I need to do. Like, it's yours now. However you guys want to run it, who you want to supply to, like, I won't get involved. So that's when we started changing the direction, where we started approaching more of the high streets and everything. And also, like, just try approaching more brands, because you can get a bit more margin than just, back in those days, used to be market stalls. So your market trader is like always the bottom of the pile, where he's not got enough to pay you the best price possible for your product. So we thought, you know, let's go to the top of the chain. Like, you know, let's go to these brands and high streets that, like, are the best at this. And that's when we started approaching people like, don't know if you know this brand, J. Norman. It was a brand, that was really, really popular amongst the young that time. So started making goods for them. And they had a great way of doing things versus the likes of other stores that we used to make for, because they cared about their brand identity. It was a great brand, where, you know, they cared about the way the garment was cut, the way it was shaped, like all those little details made a difference on how it looked on the go, on how it fitted. So that's where we started. Well, I personally started learning about the importance of ensuring how your fit is, or how your product actually is when the customer receives it and wears it, compared to, like, you know, oh, just give me a jumper. But, like, you know, like, as now that they call them, like, muscle fit or skinny fit and stuff like that. Like, that fit matters. It accentuates the body shape. So that's when we started learning a lot about, you know, how important the fit is, and also, like, just the packaging itself, like the brand recognition and everything. Like, for J. Norman, they cared about all that. So I learned a lot about brand and brand aesthetics from them. And then the Missy Empire was formed. So we couldn't run two businesses at once, because both businesses are demanding. Being in manufacturing, you know, it's like long hours, and having an online business is 24 hours, so it's even longer. So you couldn't do both. So we decided, inevitably to sell the knitwear business after 26 years.
How did Dad feel about that?
Dad, he felt a bit sad, I'm not gonna lie, because obviously it was his baby. But I think when he gave us the keys, he already came at peace with, like, you know, it's no longer my baby. So he did feel a bit, like, emotional, like, are we doing the right thing? So we heard all the typical Asian dad sort of mentorship words that, you know, make sure you know what you're doing, all that stuff. But when, look, it's an obvious one. Like, you know, if we need to make Missy Empire what we need to make it, we can't be in both businesses, because both are demanding. And so it's your future. So if that's what you want to do, go do it. So so we sold that and just started focusing on Missy Empire. But it was a time where, for the first year, I think 2016 was when we were running it jointly. And it was probably our most bleakest year. I think it was our worst year ever, because we had a staffing team, but because we were so busy on the manufacturing side, there was not enough time and focus and attention or even guidance given to them. So a lot of overexpenditure were happening in wrong channels, and, like, you know, just targeting the wrong customer, not knowing the customer. So a lot of things went wrong. It nearly crumbled Missy Empire. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's to this moment, even to the new people, new team members. I do tell them, like, yeah, like if you were there in 2016, it wasn't a pretty picture. So that's when we sold in December 15 when we sold the knitwear, or December 16, sorry, when we sold the knitwear. 17 was when we just like said, all right, you know, we've got now, just get either a brand new team together. Which
This is it, like this is the future.
Yeah. So not enough money in the bank. Get the team together, get a better team together, a team that, you know, doesn't have any past resentments or, like, you know.
So you completely revamped.
Yeah. There was only one girl that stayed. Everyone else was made redundant. So yeah. And then we just started from scratch again.
At that point, were you not like worried that is this actually going to work? Am I actually gonna make?
I mean,
happen?
you know what? Fear is always inside you. It's the trick is to make sure it never overtakes you. So for anyone to, like, you know, say, like, you know, fear doesn't exist, I think it's bullshit. Fear's in everyone, even in fighters and boxers. Before they head into the ring, they're always fearful of how it's going to end. But you just don't let it become the main factor.
Don't let it control you.
Yeah, you make sure your confidence is outweighing the fear. That you know what you're doing, you know the vision you're headed for, and you have a plan of attack. As long as that's all there, there's always going to be that little bit of element of doubt. That's always going to remain. So yeah, you just make sure that it never outweighs the plan, basically. So yeah, we just sat down, made a plan, designed like the Missy girl, like the girl that we wanted to target, the vision of the girl. And from there we just started taking small steps. So rather than asking for like double-digit growths, we started off small, like, you know, let's just grow like 1% a month. But you know, we do it consistently. So by the end of the year, we'll grow about 12%. But slowly, that percent started, as you started getting better and more tailored towards your audience, the percent started coming quicker. So it started going from 1% a month to like 5, 10, 15, 20. So eventually, although we thought, like, you know, 15% growth would be okay, by end of 2017, we actually grew by about 140%. Yeah. So just go to show, like, you know, the same brand with the wrong team went into negative from 2015 growth. So like for a growing brand to go the next year into all reds versus then going back into all greens, just goes to show, like, you know, yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get it tremendously wrong and costly. So
let's speak on that quickly. So it was the same leaders running the business. It was the same brand, but it was the people below.
Yeah, so changed. Like where we were, so it was a little bit different. Like there was 2 floors. The factory was on the top floor, and the Missy Empire offices were on the ground floor. So yeah, me and Ishi always used to spend majority of the time, especially this golden quarter in retail, which is your last Q4. Mm-hmm. But that's also a winter period for knitwear, so it's like the golden quarter for knitwear as well. So we're spending time in both businesses, but majority of the time was being spent upstairs to make sure the orders are getting out on time, because if it's not delivered on time, they have a right to cancel, because you agree a delivery date that's subject to this date, you know, proceed with the order. And
there's probably a lot more money on the line.
Exactly, yeah. So we thought, you know what, all right, the team, like, you know, it's designed, there's like a few people there who have assigned responsibilities, and, you know, they've come from experience, they should know what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, you know, just because someone's done great at one company doesn't mean they're going to be awesome at yours, because what worked for them won't always work for you. It's a completely different audience. It might be a different sort of girl they're targeting. It might be a different product. Like the same. Although the basic foundations are the same, to make it work, you have to tailor them to your girl, or to the person you're seeking to serve. Mm-hmm. So that's where it went slightly wrong. Like, you know, they were trying to apply the same methodologies of their existing brands and experience to somewhere where, you know, it tried to work on Missy Empire, which wasn't really that audience. So yeah, you know, like overspend on a lot of wrong channels happened.
Do you think part of it was that maybe the team felt that the owners of the company are a lot more geared towards the manufacturing. So if we look after
I
that
agree.
side, we're not going to be in danger.
Yeah, like this is where I think, you know, like I said, that it's not just the team, like, you know, they didn't have much direction or vision or even like leadership, because we were like technically like in a split. We had one leg in the manufacturing and one in the e-commerce side. So I do agree, it was a little bit hard to...
So fast forward, obviously multiple lessons learned. I'm guessing obviously even though you were seasoned entrepreneurs, you had been in the industry, you know, your dad taught you a lot as well, and eventually you took that risk, you saw some hardships, but it really paid off. And then post 2017 you then became one of the fastest growing companies in the industry. So how did that shift happen?
I think when you start to know what you're doing, like the girl you or the customer you're seeking to serve, on like the product offering you want to offer, like as soon as you get an identity and it's clear and the vision's clear to the customer, the journey then becomes a lot easier, because you're targeting the right person with the right product, and you know the sale will eventually happen. So what we started to build was like an aspiration of like dreams, like, you know, if we show such an aesthetic, like, you know, fashion plays a major part in everyone's life, like, you know, we all want to look good, but it's like everyone says, or every brand like tries to say, like, you know, our clothes make you look good, but how many actually do? So we wanted to make sure ours was one of them that ticks that box, that yeah, ours does. So it's like, you know, really starting from the basics. So like, you know, when you start going through every element of your business and ensuring that all resonates back to the brand, eventually the customer understands the message quite quickly. So for us, you know, our social platforms being the biggest key element to our growth, because for me, like, that's a blank canvas where you paint your own picture. So you paint your own identity, you paint your own brand's tone of voice. So for us, you know, we had a platform where we started to just paint our own tone of voice, and that works extremely well, like what I consider as a club where people just join and follow and like get inspired. So inspiration is key. Like, you know, the more you inspire your customer, the more they believe in the brand. So you know, for a brand that's only like 5 years this year, like 1.4 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah,
and
huge.
Our engagement, to be honest, is insane. Like compared to our competitor brands that have got probably double, twice the maybe triple the following. We're averaging on an average just about maybe 10% lower than engagement on theirs versus them. It's because our girl's more relevant and fresh, so we're connected to them a lot more, and they're a lot more engaged and in tune to what we offer, and what we display to them. So yeah, like, you know, social media is definitely a big part of being Missy Empire's growth, and it will continue to do so. Like, you know, it's only getting stronger and stronger.
Of course. So one thing I'm curious about, whilst obviously your dad and obviously you guys had the experience of working in the industry, how do you really truly understand your ideal customer being a woman? Obviously when you guys are male, and like, how do you really stay in tune with that and stay relevant with that beyond obviously the team that you have built?
See, to be honest, regardless of gender, it's more about stats and data that helps you understand your customer. And the beauty of an e-commerce business is everything that you need to measure can be measured. So, you know, from what products do well to what, you know, what colors and themes get more clicks, like every single thing can be measured. So over time, as the correct people will understand their brands more and more if they study the data. Like with those, you know, like I said, social media is the biggest
Driver.
not driver, like the bridge between us and the customer.
Okay.
They talk to us immediately on there. There's no barrier, there's no filter of, oh, it's got to go through some like research agency before it ends up to you. Like, you know, before, back in the days, you know, if you wanted feedback from your customer, yeah, you had to employ an agency or go out into town centres and get feedback on certain brands, compile the data and then send it to you. But that whole method will probably take 2 to 3 months, and is it relevant then?
It's cut out the middleman.
Exactly. So with here, like, you know, we started posting posts, started posting products, started monitoring what got more engagements, what got more conversation going. So like, you know, constantly, even to now, we're constantly learning. We're constantly learning more and more about the girl, that how can we better serve her. And the best way to learn is just listen to what your customer says.
Do you ever think there will be...
Every customer has a voice, brother. And a few brands, great brands, will listen, and a few would ignore them. So, the best way is to, the feedback's there. It's everywhere. For me to get feedback on how well we do, it doesn't take me long to find out. Trustpilot's a great source, because that's the after feedback. And Instagram's a great source prior to them converting, because it tells you how well your aesthetics are being met with the audience. And Trustpilot's a great one, where it tells you the after sale of your audience and how well has the product been met, how well has your service been met. Everything then gets highlighted. So the more you encourage your customer to be vocal about your brand, the better you can serve them.
So essentially,
the gender, to be honest, is never an issue. No, I don't think it's more about understanding just business acumen, just understanding what data you need to better serve the customer.
So let's shift a little bit, because even off camera, the way you carry yourself, you can tell you're a seasoned entrepreneur. You've got business acumen there. You've got advice to give out straight away.
I don't know if that's just age, brother.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's you can see that you've gone through multiple things, and you have wisdom to give. So that's the number one thing on Recipe to Success, is we want to give back. Whilst I'm learning myself, I want the audience to be able to benefit, not just young entrepreneurs, but anyone, anyone that wants to get into entrepreneurship, or even if they're in a job but they want to be entrepreneurs in their employment. How do they kind of break that barrier and succeed, essentially? So what would you say is some of the core things that are very close to your heart that you would always recommend to anyone starting out, or keys to be successful?
Determination, I would probably put at the top, because that's what gets you through the rough rides. When you're determined to, when you set your heart on anything, honestly, it's you'll achieve it. So you got to be determined. It can't just be because you see a lot of entrepreneurs or businessmen, which I'm not putting anyone's credibility or anything into question or doubt, but you see a lot where their idea might be great, but the fire or the determination just wasn't there. They were in it for the wrong reason. They probably were in it for the fame or the limelight. The reason to why they did it was not right. So it's all about, why is it, intentions, why are you doing what you're doing? If it's just for I want to make a quick buck, well, yeah, you can make a quick buck just by sitting at home and trading on shares. So if it's just for money, then that's not going to be the biggest driver. Because eventually, if you're just doing it for one objective, which is just money, you're never going to build something to last. So this is where I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they start off with great ideas, and as soon as let's say they hit a little bit of a bad wave, they jump ship, because they doubt themselves, oh shit, I came in for the wrong reasons, right? I need to abandon this. Let me go try something else. Or the other thing is, sometimes when you've been doing something for a couple of years, you get bored. So to keep that fire burning, the fuel needs to be constantly being there. You got to keep constantly reminding you why you do what you do, why you're doing it for, who you're doing it for. So the reason to why they begin needs to be correct. It can't just be money, basically, or fame and I just want to be known and drive big cars and that. It can't be for materialistic things. It's got to be a passion for what you're doing. So this is why the greats. It's I used to be a big fan of CEO of Apple,
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, and why he came into the industry was to disrupt. It wasn't for the money. The money follows. Once you have a great passion for what you want to do, and you think it's going to work, the money will follow. That's secondary. It will come with you, because if you have a service that's sellable, people will buy it. So for him it was just to disrupt every industry they went into. They disrupted it, and they did it well. So this is the same with us. I always say to my team, so fast fashion gets a bad name for being disposable clothing. I'm being from manufacturing, I totally agree. Clothing shouldn't be one-time wear, especially the effort that goes into making the products. Like, we've been through this ourselves. Like, it's not a 1 minute thing to make a garment. It actually takes a while. So then to be worn once and then chucked, yeah, I don't think that's the right way. So like, affordable clothing, yes, I believe that should exist. And this is where I say to my team that, you know, we don't need to be the next PLT or Boohoo or other brands that they're already out there. Be the better alternative. So if you want to be within the affordable fashion market, be better. Make sure your materials are better. Make sure your product fits better. Make sure it accentuates the woman in a better way than your competitor does. So that's what sets the great from people who just do it for the wrong reasons. Like, if they've done it, I want to do it. Like, you know, if your passion and your heart's in it, yeah, then it will shine through in your work.
Do you think that beyond even just focusing initially on the money, because sometimes I think that when you chase money alone without any kind of vision for the business or the end user, or how are you going to be different in this market, money actually runs away from you.
Of course it does. Yeah, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're chasing the wrong KPI. You know, you need to first of all understand, like, any business that you go in, like, you know, what is the purpose? What am I seeking to do? If it's like, you know, if for example you want to go into the food industry and you want to be a specialist in, you know, rather than being a jack of all trades, like, my restaurant can do from Italian to you know, Chinese to Indian to like every cuisine possible, because I want to cater for everyone, which is impossible. So this is what we can't cater for everyone. Missy Empire can't cater for every girl. Missy Empire can only cater for the Missy girl. That's it. And that's how, you know, each business should be, that, whatever audience you want to cater for, you make sure you do it right. So you find your audience and then you cater for that audience. So even like, you know, for the food industry, yeah, you know, if you want to set up a food industry business, best way is find your niche, what you're good at, and then just focus on your niche and make it better. Think outside the box. That how can I make it better? How can I make it more interesting for them?
One thing I feel like you've really done well, even from speaking to you, is you've really identified your ideal customer, from who they are, what their likes are, what their interests are, and you know, like, how to scale that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I remember when I was younger and I used to, you know, try different businesses, like, a lot of the time I didn't understand who do I want to target, and more importantly, why do I want to target that person. And I think that's something that a lot of starting up entrepreneurs struggle with, because they don't want to leave any money on the table, they don't want to lose any customers, but they don't realize that niching down can really help you. Like, I'll give you an example. When I first started my social media agency,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what kind of brands I wanted to focus on, and over time I started to realize, okay, whilst I don't want to limit it,
Mm-hmm.
I think at the same time it's better to be a specialist at something than
That's right.
you know, a general kind of
Yeah.
agency for anyone.
Yeah.
And even then I realized, like, as I was going along, hospitality brands were coming along,
Yeah.
and that's what I started becoming good at. So then I started specializing in hospitality initially, and that really worked for me, because all the hospitality brands started seeing, okay, these guys are experts at that field, they
right.
understand us, and it changed my business. And now at this point I can kind of do different projects here and there, but hospitality is still the foundation of the brand.
Yeah.
And that's something I had to do through trial and error, but I know that a lot of people, they will struggle with understanding.
So trial and error, honestly, is the right way, because first of all, you need to see what is it that you are good at. So, like, you know, for you, as you got more and more clients, you started to notice that your better results were coming in the hospitality section. So, you know, had you not studied that and understood that, and you were still going against the wave, that, no, I want to be catering for everyone, yeah, you probably wouldn't be in this position where you are now. But it's best to be great at one thing than mediocre in all of them, because mediocre only gets you mediocre results. If you're great at one thing, you're going to do exceptional work for your clients, which means they're then going to recommend you to other hospitality sectors. So, like, word of mouth is a great thing, and I'm a firm believer even to now. Like, obviously it's changed. Normal word of mouth used to be where it actually was word of mouth.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's a tag or a DM of like what they like. So this is what we encourage on our social medias, like, you know, where they at people, or like, you know, share their images and tag the brand, so like people can know where it's from. So it's still word of mouth, but just in a digital way.
It's on steroids.
Yes. So that's what we still firmly believe in, that your work should speak for itself. So same with us, like, like I get asked questions quite a lot, like, why don't you do petite, tall, and plus sizing and all that. So over time it will come. Right now we need to grow at a pace and at the direction that we know we want to go to. So for us it's more about, like, I don't want to cater for every girl right now, because we're still a young brand. We don't have the financial means to cater for every brand. We want to make sure that the people who we do cater for, we do it well. And then slowly we then expand more and more of our audience. So like with COVID, we launched a sister brand called Missy Sport, which is going to be more based towards athleisure wear and gym wear. So, it's like, before we want to branch out to more different heights and women clothing, we thought, what, at the moment, are we serving everything we can to that Missy girl yet? So that's where we identified another area of opportunity, where we went, what, we're not doing athleisure wear well for her, so let's get active wear on first for the girl, and then we'll go on to another step and another step, and then eventually, once we know we've catered everything for that Missy girl, we then bring in more channels. So yeah, definitely having a direction is good. You don't want to be jack of all trades.
So it seems like you've got a huge vision of where you want to take it.
I mean, yeah, like, Missy Empire, like the name, the girls like the name. The girls.
How did that come about? Because it's a really cool name, Missy Empire, and then you talk about your customers, the Missy girl.
Yeah, so like, it's it came through a cloud. Like, we just had words on the cloud, and like, the word Missy just stood out just because of the meaning of Missy, like, female, and it's like an affectionate way of calling a girl. And Empire was what I wanted to build. So Missy Elliott had because back in that day, Missy Elliott used to be a rapper. Yeah. So all right, well, Missy's like quite recognizable, and Empire is what we want to build it into. So why not put two things together? And over time, the brand story started to get where everyone has that aspiration of building. Even like if it's our Missy girl, she has ambition goals, she has life goals. So technically, she's building her own little empire. So as we started to develop the story further and further, and then the two X's, which are the female chromosome, they just like represented really what Missy Empire stood for. So from there, it's over time, your brand identity evolves over time.
Mm-hmm. So other than Missy Sports, you're saying that at some point you would aim to target different kinds of Missy girls? Yes,
eventually, yeah. Because at the moment, look, we're going to be 6 years in. So slowly, we want to make sure that the girls the Missy girl we're targeting now, we target them well. We make sure we cover every aspect of their needs before we then go on to another Missy girl, and then make sure we do cover all their needs. So, there are limitations as you grow. Like, you can't cater for everyone. And it's always best to understand and accept that and grow forward than trying to cater for all, but don't have the financial means to do so. Mm-hmm. So then what you only do is, not only do you not deliver the best results for the girls who you were creating for, but you tend to disappoint all, because you just don't have the ability to do everything at once when you're still growing.
So one thing that I've realized, I don't want to kind of talk too much on competitors and things that are going on in the market, because obviously it's exciting that there's a lot of competition now, there's a lot of options for customers, and you've really narrowed down your customer, so you feel like, we really understand our target audience. But the reality is that, especially with COVID, high street has been practically wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
So in hindsight, does it make you feel comfortable that you've made that transition from manufacturing to high street retailers to building your own e-com brand, and then actually now pursuing that? Because e-com is only going to grow, right? Like, if high street dies completely, people are only going to buy online. So did you ever think it would get to that point, or did you see high street dying?
So high street, I mean, we knew high street was on a downward trend. Like, you'd be foolish not to say it wasn't. The footfall, and also they can't cater for the needs of the customer now, which is obviously if you're open from a certain time period, you are telling the customer to come to me within that time period. Otherwise, I can't accept your custom. Whereas the e-commerce is the opposite way. It tells them you come to me at your convenience. We're open 24/7 for you at your convenience. So, you know, it's a much stronger message. So, you know, when you've got a better alternative, which is what the customer has, they're not going to choose the one that's, you know, just forcing them to come within a certain period. So obviously the customer's only going to go to that place or to the high street when they have the time to meet their timing to visit the stores. So yeah, like, you know, there's a lot of restrictions basically. So it was on a downward trend. COVID, I mean, unfortunately, like, it's not a good thing. That's
kind of sped things up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a good thing that's happened, but it just went to further enhance that. And the opposite part of the story is that, you know, had it not been for the internet or the e-commerce, how would have lockdown been? You know, had you had no access to Zoom and, you know, all this technology to still talk to your loved ones and see them during isolation, how would a lockdown been? So, like, there are pros and cons. Like, you know, people, high streets are against, like, you know, e-commerces and that, but they just need to diversify, you know, become a multi-platform, have both options.
Like Primark, for example.
I mean, they have no online presence, and, you know, that's why their revenue went from hundreds of millions to zero. Which, you know, again, it might be a decision they've taken. We don't know why, but you know, in a world where everything is digital, and not to have a digital presence is not probably the right move to do. So
you know, earlier in the podcast you mentioned that social media was a huge factor to your growth, to your fast growth.
Yeah.
And it might have been a combination of good timing and understanding your customer, but the reality was social media changed your business. I think a big part of that was also the influence marketing side as well. And it's something that obviously has evolved over the years. And I think what really helped for you was that you understood who your customer was, so you understood which influencers you wanted to work with. So what's your tips on working with influencers as a brand that is starting out, or even if you're a seasoned brand, how does that benefit your brand from someone that hasn't tried it before?
So influencer marketing it's changed massively from when we first started. There wasn't much awareness then on influencers. Like, you know, it was just starting off, I think, when I started, because a lot of them now, they have agents, and, like, you know, it's a full-time job. Like, you know, they treat it as a business now, so they're more understandable of what they need from brands, and also what brands need from them. So the dynamics have changed massively. But I mean, what we normally, the best advice I can give, or how I teach my team, is that influencers are more like there to educate the customer of your product, because they technically try the service before the customer does. So, you know, if you find the right influencer that you think suits your service, the better the content will be for the customer, and the more the customer will understand what is it that you're trying to sell or promote to the customer. So this is why, you know, not every influencer with big followers and, like, you know, big numbers, so, like, they're all vanity measures. It's about how do they connect to you, to what you're trying to achieve for the customer. If those boxes tick, then you approach the right influencer.
And again, you can get the feedback directly.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, although, you know, we say influencer marketing is new, it's been going on for ages. Like, it was just in a different world where people didn't really see it as clearly. So, like, you know, Nespresso, where they had George Clooney, you know, that's influencer marketing, but it's just done in a different way to how we do it.
It was just with, like, more traditional celebrities.
Yeah, that's right. Well, just association with a name that can give credibility to another brand, basically. So that's what it gives to a new brand. It gives credibility. But you know, finding the right influencer. So, like, not like, you know, Nespresso, they could have had anyone, but there was a reason why they went for George Clooney. Just like Under Armour went for Rock. There's a reason why they went for Dwayne Johnson. And the same way probably you get approached every day. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we get with thousands, but, like, they have to suit your brand and your aesthetics, and, like, you know, the content they create versus the content you promote. Like, everything has to align. If it doesn't, then the partnership's not going to work. The customers, especially our generation, like Gen Z and Gen Y, they know how social media works. They know how, you know, everything is done, so they're not stupid. They'll see through it. So the best thing, you just be honest and raw. So you find the right partners where the customer thinks, yeah, this actually is a genuine partnership, where it looks good. I like what they're promoting, and I wanna look like this, or I wanna purchase it.
Mm-hmm. So finally, I think we've got a lot of value for the audience from this podcast. But I just want to end it with anyone that is potentially getting into the clothing industry.
Yeah.
Because there's designers, there's small brands, there's a range of different kind of entrepreneurs that want to get in the industry. What's your recipe to success beyond obviously just knowing your customer and using social media to your advantage from a business point of view? How do you break the barrier
to success?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know if I've broken it yet. I'm still growing through my
He's being
journey
modest.
yet.
He's being modest, guys.
I'm still going through my journey yet, so you might be asking me this too early. But yeah, like I said, to be honest, for me, it's always been like, having a good team behind you helps. It really helps. But also like making sure that you have the right vision for your team, so that they know which way the ship is heading. So then they can start, tailoring each and every message towards the girl. And like, your main thing is, it's always your product first. I'm a firm believer of that. If your product isn't right, no matter how great your marketing is, how great your website looks, if the end result, because remember, in digital world, the product's the last thing they get. So they make all the other decisions based on everything you show them. So if you're hyping something up, or if you're making something, like Photoshop's a great thing nowadays. If you're making something look better than it actually is, and it is, then the only thing you're going to do is you're going to disappoint. So always focus on the first core element, that what you're trying to sell, does it have value? If you know it doesn't, then work on that first. Work on your product offering first, then build forward.
Okay, amazing. So obviously your brand is out there, but anyone that wants to actually follow your journey to how you grow Missy Empire, where can they follow you and support you personally? So
time is a thing for me, where I wish I can promote as much as I can, but because we're still a growing business, I don't have enough time. But like, I do have an Instagram and a LinkedIn page where I'm quite open and vocal on. But apart from that, I think they're the only two channels that I'm on.
What's the Instagram for anyone that wants to follow?
The Ash Siddique, and just Ash Siddique on LinkedIn. And
even though I'm sure if you've listened to this point, you know where the brand is and how to follow the brand, but if they want to follow your brand, what's the Instagram at?
Missy Empire.
Guys, definitely check it out. Even from my perspective, I think I've gained so much respect even more for the brand, because because you really understand your customer and you take care and effort in, and some these things you wouldn't really know unless you hear it from.
I agree, because behind the scenes it's very hard to know what's going on behind the scenes and how much time and effort actually gets spent behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So this is why opportunities like this I'm always up for. It's a great way to get a sneak preview on what is actually happening behind brands, and how the hard work is. Because look, what we display on the front end, that's that polished picture. That's the end result of all the hard work from myself, my team, a great team who's dedicated 24/7. They're more believers of the Missy girl, which is great. This is the thing, it's your team that should believe your vision. So for them to make it all polished, from a brand that's just 5 years old, you from the outside you can't tell when you go to the website, when you go on social media pages, that it's still a young brand compared to all the established brands that are out there. And we've always had that in our benefit, that we understood that for a girl, or the Missy girl, to come and shop at Missy Empire, you have to look professional, you have to look right. And it takes a lot longer, don't get me wrong, because the little attention to detail is what matters. It's the little things that matter. So it does take a little bit more longer, it does slow down your progress, but if you give out a polished end result to the customer, all the work behind the scene pays off. So for us, it's always behind the scenes there's so much going on. As you can see, probably had the phone ring 20 times while we were doing this. So it's always a lot going on, but the customer, that's what we're there for. We're just there to serve them.
I'm gonna hold you to this on camera. In a year's time, I think I would love to come back and see how the brand has evolved, because I think it's growing at such a fast rate. that it's going to be a whole different.
Hopefully, I'll be more slimmer.
With the in-house gym, I'm sure you.
Hopefully.
But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Show
for
some love
inviting
to
me,
Missy
bro.
Empire. Support the page. Support
Thank
the
you.
brand. Get some clothes if you're a female. If you're not a female, get
Still
some.
get some clothes
for someone else, and let them know that you came from Recipe to Success as well. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and support on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.